Fears of a slave revolt are sweeping across Egypt after census figures revealed that the Hebrew population is growing at an alarming rate.
They breed like rabbits,
said Mrs. Imhotep in Thebes.
Coming over here, doing our jobs for us. Something needs to be done.
Pharaoh has unveiled radical plans to deal with the slave problem.
We can't have our country overrun by foreigners, even if we did enslave them and bring them here in the first place. Until further notice, all male babies born to Hebrew slaves will be killed.
Surprise greeted the announcement that Pharaoh's daughter is celebrating the arrival of a baby boy. The princess has named the child Moses and firmly denies rumours that she found him floating in a basket on the Nile. However, some members of the press have noted that the baby
looks a bit Hebrew.
Prince Moses wowed the crowds when he arrived to see the completion of a new pyramid destined to become Pharaoh's final resting place.
I'm sure my grandfather will be very happy here, although hopefully not for many years yet.
Moses has shrugged off gossip about his true parentage to top polls as most popular royal ever.
Prince Moses is wanted for questioning in relation to the murder of Mr. Merefnebeth, a slave driver from Thebes. The victim's wife made an emotional appeal for witnesses.
He was only doing his job, but they're saying he was done away with by that Moses, standing up for his Hebrew brothers. Because it's all come out, he was a Hebrew all along. And if his real mother had done a decent thing and had killed him at birth, my hubby would still be whipping slaves.
It is believed that Moses has fled the country and is heading for Midian. Moses, 40, was recently revealed to be of Hebrew descent. As a baby, he escaped the slave cull when his mother hid him in a basket and sent him drifting down the Nile in a desperate attempt to save his life. He was found and adopted by the princess, who unwittingly employed Moses' mother to nurse him.
I feel such a fool,
said the princess.
Today's top of the odd comes from Midian, where a shepherd has returned from Mount Sinai with reports of an ever-burning bush in the desert.
It was on fire, but it wasn't burning up, and I heard God talking to me from the flames. He gave me a mission to free all the slaves in Egypt.
Good luck with that.
Moses, 80, the disgraced prince who left Egypt following the murder of a slave driver, has been sighted in the Hebrew settlement at Goshen.
It's unlikely we'll be pressing charges,
said Inspector Ankessen Pepe.
It was 40 years ago, and our only witness is long dead.
Rumours suggest that Moses is trying to gain support for a Free the Slaves campaign.
Moses met with Pharaoh yesterday for talks about Hebrew rights. However, negotiations quickly broke down after Pharaoh refused to consider even a short holiday for the slaves. The palace issued the following statement.
The economy just will not stand any slackening in production at present. In fact, the slaves' work quotas are due to rise in the coming weeks.
A palace insider reveals weird goings-on in government. Moses proved his claim to be on a mission from the Hebrew god by turning his staff into a snake. But Pharaoh just ordered his court magicians to perform the same trick.
The floor was alive with snakes, but Moses' snake ate all the others and then turned back into a staff. Wild.
Moses warned that if Pharaoh refuses to free the slaves, there'll be horrible consequences for Egypt.
The River Nile has turned blood red, baffling the boffins.
In fact, all bodies of water have turned red and smelly,
said a health official.
We are advising people to dig new wells and drink only from them until further notice.
A plague of frogs has infested Egypt. Millions of the foul amphibians have oozed out of the Nile to fill the streets and invade people's homes.
Lice are on the loose, and the whole country is scratching. Doctors advise a daily bath in ass's milk.
It stops the itching, but you might smell a bit cheesy.
As flies buzz all over Egypt, hygiene inspectors are warning people to check their food for maggots. Only the Hebrew quarter in Goshen has escaped the recent plagues, fueling rumours that they are signs from the God of Moses.
Following the unexplained death of all livestock, farmers have appealed to Pharaoh for help.
It's time he listened to us,
said Mr. Menkaperesenev.
You go down to Goshen where the Hebrews live. Have their cows died? No. Have their sheep died? No. That Hebrew god is punishing us because Pharaoh won't free the slaves. Well, we've had enough.
The palace declined to make a statement.
Health officials have issued the following advice to deal with the present epidemic.
Don't squeeze your boils. You'll only make them worse. Just dab them with crocodile dung, and when they burst, try not to pick the scabs.
In the worst weather since records began, a violent hailstorm has flattened all the crops that were due to be harvested, but farmers are remaining upbeat.
That's all the barley and flax gone, but we've still got the wheat harvest to come.
The wheat harvest has been destroyed by a swarm of locusts. Only Goshen remains unaffected by current events, leading to further calls that Pharaoh should free the slaves before Egypt starves.
The royal astronomers are at a complete loss to explain why it has been dark for the last 3 days.
We are at a complete loss to explain why it has been dark for the last 3 days.
Moses emerged from another unsuccessful meeting with Pharaoh today and went straight to Goshen. There he joined the slave community, who have all returned to their homes for a religious ritual. Mrs. Benjamin described what will happen.
Moses told us that every family should kill and cook a lamb. The blood's got to be painted around our front door. My husband can do that. Then we eat the meal together and stay indoors until after midnight. Very strict about that, he was.
Grief consumes Egypt. Every household awoke to discover that their firstborn son had died during the night from an unknown cause. Only Hebrew homes, identified by lamb's blood around the doors, were untouched by the tragedy.
Bowing to increasing pressure, Pharaoh decreed yesterday that the Hebrew slaves were free to leave Egypt. However, more recent reports indicate that Pharaoh now regrets this decision. He is mustering an army to pursue the Hebrews and wreak a terrible revenge.
Pharaoh has died in a freak drowning accident, along with hundreds of charioteers, horsemen and foot soldiers. He led his army across the desert towards a Hebrew encampment on the shores of the Red Sea.
I saw the dust rising in the distance,
said Mr. Levi.
Pharaoh's army was coming right at us and we had nowhere to run. But Moses gets up and waves his staff and the sea just parts. There was this corridor between walls of water, straight through to the other side.
The Hebrews made it across, but the pursuing Egyptians were still in a danger zone when the sea came crashing down, drowning every single one of them.
We're free at last! Just need to find this promised land Moses keeps on about.